What's up? This is View from Legacy View Comic Book Series, and this is Channel Greenbox. And on today's show, we got professional artist Sean Hill on our show. You may know him from working at Marvel, doing the Moon Knight book, doing the Bishop War College, or doing old comic books. Or, you're a DC fan, you might know him being on Cyborg, Blood Syndicate, as well as the Icon versus Hardware book as well. And some collaborations, DC collaborations and the Marvel Celebration collaborations, as well as creating indie books like Azara, The Were Spider, as well as Ace Blade. So he's on the show today. Y'all probably seen his work, probably know who he is. I don't think he does much more interviews, but he did our interview on Channel Greenbox. So you know what? I'm out of here. Check out his work. Check out my book as well. Some promo. But you know what? Specks. Start the interview up. He was a dope guest. Y'all want to go on. I'm out.
Welcome back to the Hood. This is Chill on the Greenbox with Specks Thompson interview. And I want to thank the View for that beautiful intro and bringing in, I guess, Sean Hill. And for people who don't know who you are, Sean, tell them who you are and what all do you do?
My name's Sean Damon Hill, and I'm a comic artist. Nowadays, I work for a lot of independent promotions like Ray Comics, Solid Comics, Webway Comics. I've also done covers for as many independent promotions as I can. I've done a fair amount of work for Marvel with Bishop War College. I think that's probably the main thing people know me from. I've done little stints on Moon Knight with them, and Marvel Voices Legends, most recently with the Deathlock Demolished story. And I've also helped out with DC Comics, Milestone Comics with Blood Syndicate stuff, and aside from that, I've also done some stuff for their most recent DC Power publication with a Bloodwind story. So,
All right, you talking about? I think I had a book like right beside me. This one.
yes, I love that cover.
Yeah.
That's an amazing cover.
Like I said, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
I don't know where you're from, but growing up, did you have the green electrical boxes in front of your house growing up?
Some houses did. I grew up in DC, and some houses had that. Not so much in my neighborhood, but definitely when I would go visit other friends and stuff, like I would see that. And I think when I was super young, I had no idea what they were. I was like, "What is this?" And we would play with it and stuff, jump on it. It was really dangerous.
So the show's called Chill on the Green Box. So back in the day, you was playing with it and stuff. So you were chilling around and hang out with friends and whatnot.
Yeah.
So this show's basically the same concept. We just gonna chill, hang out, and talk about comics, and music because I've been on plenty of podcast shows or listened to them, and you get on the show or you listen to the show and you hear it talk 2 hours about their project, and it really don't give you a reason why to support them or know anything about them but their project. So I created my show so you know more about the creator of the project, so you have reason to support them. You know more about them, so you can follow them on and on and on again for the other stuff they do. So, yep. So I got this show's 4 different segments, all different questions, I formulated, and based around the same thing, chilling in the green box. And my first segment is called Breaking It Down, because when you chill in the green box, you wrote ideas, concepts down with your friends and whatnot, and other things. So I got some questions that are gonna break your brain down, so we know more about you.
All right.
First question is, what problem do you have that might be unique to only you?
Oh. So, people super close to me, like my wife tells me this, kind of all the time. But I really take things fairly literally. Um, you know, like Drax on Guardians of the Galaxy and
Yes.
the movies and stuff like that. Sometimes I'm like that.
Okay.
And you know, we're human beings. We all talk in metaphors sometimes, and so uh, I think the one that gets me most, that I always have gripes about or complain about, is you can't have your cake and eat it too. And I'm always like, yes, yes, you can. If you're holding it, you can just eat it. Like,
You
what's the
got two
problem?
hands, you know.
Yeah,
You hold
it's like I know
it.
what I know what the metaphors mean, but I was
Mhm.
like, that doesn't make any sense. Why do we say that? You know, then I'll go into like a 10-minute rant about why we say that.
um, it was a meme going around a couple years ago that said we've been saying it wrong. It's really you can't have Kate, like the girl, and Ellie too. You can't have two women at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
It's though many people try.
yeah, try. Um, well, what's one thing you love about your birthday?
um, so my birthday's October 3rd. So one thing I do absolutely love about it is that it's in October. Like it's in a more of a fall month. I hate heat, so it's not in the summer. Um, and it's closer to like Halloween and stuff. And that was the growing up. I was a big horror fan, so um, it's a lot of businesses and schools and kids and stuff like that are kind of prepared for Halloween, so they're all thinking about their costumes. They're getting decorations ready. They're being incredibly creative with anything like pumpkin carving and stuff like that. It just feels like a hugely creative month for me to see people kind of getting into that because just growing up like you know being obsessed with drawing all the time and most of the time drawing in the classroom when I should be working, like you just don't get the idea that you know human beings that we could be as creative as we actually are. So when holidays like that come up, I just love to see it. So that's one thing.
And you know that's dope. You say that because ironically, my next question is, what can kids expect when they come to your house during Halloween?
Oh, so oh man, to be honest, like they're most likely going to see me trying to watch a horror marathon. Like they're gonna probably feel like awkward because they're gonna probably think it's like, are we disturbing this guy? He's watching like all 8 Nightmare on Elm Street films. I'm gonna be like, yes, you are disturbing them. um, it's most likely what they'll see. Like, and they'll most likely see like absurd amounts of Halloween candy. They'll probably see candy corn because I'm like one of the few people that like candy corn.
I like candy
And,
corn too.
oh,
So,
good, good,
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Go.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the that's I think those are the biggest things they'll most likely see.
As a kid, when you go to when I used to go to Ryan's, so like Golden Corral or whatever, uh, I used to get ice cream, put candy corn on my ice cream for that buffet.
Party,
Yeah. So,
party.
so like as a kid, I know I'm pretty sure I got side eye, but now you know, being grown, I know how people look at me like that, like, ew, he's ruining my
Yeah,
ice cream.
yeah.
All right, well, that's all the questions I got. Hopefully, people got a good feel, you know, who you is by our 3 questions. And then ironically, one led into another question, so that was pretty good.
Nice.
Um, so on to my next segment. It's called the back issues.
All
Um,
right.
of course, you know, being in comics, you know all about the back issues. But people who don't know is if you want to know about a character's origin story, you read his back issues.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to know about Daniel Ketch, you know, Ghost Rider, you read his back issues to find out more about his origin story. So with this
Yeah.
segment, we're going to go to your back issues to find out more about your origin story.
All right.
All right, so where are you from and what do you call your hood?
Oh, so I'm from Washington D.C., but the hood is basically Petworth. Like it's in the Petworth area.
Mm-hmm.
So I would literally live right next to the corner of Park Road and Water Street. And Water Street was spelled weird. It was Warder, and everybody just thought water. Like, um, and Yeah, that was. It wasn't like the worst neighborhood at the time so when I was coming up, but it wasn't necessarily nice at the time either. So,
Mm-hmm. It
um,
had a little grit
yeah,
to it.
yeah, yeah.
um, are you still up there now? You still in DC now?
No, no. Nowadays, like I'm getting older, starting families now. I got to do the traditional thing and move out to Virginia.
Oh, okay,
Um,
okay, okay.
like,
Just around
uh,
the corner. Okay.
yeah, pretty much. Like it's literally up the street. Um, yeah, I've been living in Virginia now for maybe about 8 years now. So
All right, man. Hey, that's dope. That's dope.
yeah,
Um, are you a music lover?
a bit. My tastes are a bit weird, but yes.
All right. So, what artist or song got you listen to a certain genre, or they like broke you into music? What started your love for music?
Love for music. So there was a lot of old music played in my house, and I distinctly remember. I couldn't remember. I think it was American Woman from Jimi Hendrix. And there was just something about that guitar that like drew me in. I was a kid, so and mostly what played in my house was a lot of R&B, a lot of Michael Jackson, a lot of Belle Biv DeVoe and stuff like that. So that was like constantly played all the time to my whole family. But somebody for some reason just decided like to play out loud some Hendrix and something about the guitar that just drew me in. It was just um, this raw sound that I just couldn't get enough of. It kind of curved my musical interests almost for the rest of my life. So.
Oh, well, okay. So you said to Jimmy, did Prince do the same thing for you?
Prince was when I got older to like really appreciate like creative complexity in music. Uh, Prince was incredible. Like creatively, even like a lot of his performances, how he would promote himself, all the different outfits he would wear and stuff like that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, he would really kind of push some boundaries as to what was acceptable, especially if, like from a black creator. It was just like, whoa.
Okay. Okay. Comic book wise, what comic book or comic TV show got you into comics?
Um, so it wasn't a TV show though. That was because my mom and grandfather were super into comics, so I kind of got indoctrinated into comic books. But the most consistent thing that I would see between like TV and actually go to a comic book store to actually buy a movie would be like Superman. Like I think I saw Christopher Reeve's Superman first, and then I started wanting to look at actual comic books about him and just notice the major differences and stuff like that. Which is kind of weird because I'm not even like the hugest Superman fan, but that's like my fondest memory. Um,
Um, but myself, I'm not a huge Superman fan either. But growing up, I remember watching the Superman movies and Lois and Clark and stuff like that. Even though I'm not a Superman fan,
yeah,
I consume a lot of his stuff. Yeah. Um, I didn't read a Superman comic book until I got grown. You know, like
yeah, yeah.
um, the closest thing that was relevant for me, Superman, was the animated series. You know,
That was a great.
and,
Yeah,
and still I didn't even grasp his villains. Like I knew like what the Parasite villain, Lex Luthor, and I can't think of his name right now. The guy he's powered by kryptonite.
oh, Metello,
Metallo, yeah,
Metello. Yeah,
yeah. I knew
yeah,
like that was his villains or whatever, but like now being grown, he has a whole slew of more villains that
yeah.
But the one that made sense was like those. Like okay, so this guy can drain his power. This guy's
Mhm.
kryptonite, and this guy is super smart rich guy. So it made sense. But other ones like okay, he's a just a backward Superman, and he's
yeah,
that yeah,
Bizarro.
he's just more alternate Supermans like he's fighting. Um, Ironically, Intergame has my attention now, and I see like they could use that a lot more than they do in the comics, but they don't. But I feel like they can use them a lot more because their weapons.
Yeah, they make some like DC makes some interesting gangs, but it's like it never feels like they intend to do too much with them. But I would love to see more intrigue. It's because I think they have. I can't remember where they get their technology from. If it's like partially alien or something.
It's from wherever Apocalypse is from.
Right.
I mean, it's from Apocalypse. It's wherever Dark Side is from Apocalypse. So they get their weapons from there.
It's like the ideas you can do with that. It's like they literally have weapons from Apocalypse. They should be like world threats, like every single time they show up.
Yeah, but they just one-offs though. But hopefully James Gunn does something with them. I think he's using them in the Authority show or TV or movie, whatever it is. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Maybe something will get, because usually they just get jobbed out to whatever superheroes around. Then,
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I haven't really keeping up with the James Gunn universe, but I know they was in the character list or they was brought up sometimes. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
he likes to pick up like skewed stuff and like make movies about him. So
Yeah.
So oh yeah. What books were your parents reading?
So, and it's weird. I can still remember this. I was a little kid, but my mom was into like Supergirl, the Avengers. She was into Legion of Superheroes, and like a sort of a another version of that book called Legion 99 or Legion 89, and stuff like that. And my grandfather, he was into like older like Will Eisner stuff, like The Spirit. So he wouldn't be buying like a lot of comics, if not for just like for me, but if he saw like a older collected edition of Will Eisner, The Spirit, he would get that.
Okay.
When it came out, that's when they started like republishing some of the older material. So he would sometimes buy that too.
Okay. Do you ever know why she gravitated towards the Legion and not the Titans?
So I mean, she had Titans books a little bit, but I think she was more interested in how large and diverse the cast was in Legion of Superheroes. Um, and that seemed to be her thing. Like she liked and then the reason she was into Legion 89 was like she just liked all of these. That was more of a serious book than Legion of Superheroes, because it would be all of these different personalities within the Legion that are clashing, like physically, emotionally, politically, and stuff like that. And I think she liked that kind of complexity in the story. And in Avengers, because there was a lot of that too. There was a lot of personalities clashing in those books, even though it was back then unapologetically a superhero book. So, yeah.
Okay. Because another guess I had, they said they would read more of the Legion than Titans. So, from my knowledge, I know they were both geared towards teenagers or whatever, or young kids. And in my eye, I always thought Titans was a more popular book, but I think it's because for me, my origin story of comics would be Young Justice books, those books. Then, of course, the TV show came out, Teen Titans. So
Yeah.
I thought Dave was a popular one. So I didn't know nothing about the Legion until a show came on WB growing up, and I mean, besides that, I just thought, okay, Superboy went to the future, and that's
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But apparent, I think in Smallville they did it too.
They did. They brought in some Legion of superhero characters.
Yeah, so just like probably like Cosmic Boy and Saturn Girl, probably.
Um, I think they had Lightning Kid on there once. I think so, because it's like with Legion of Superheroes, it's like those main three. I think. I hope I'm
Lightning
not
Lad.
yeah, Lightning Lad. Yes. Um, and I don't know. It's rare where they only put like one of them there. Because for me, I wasn't as big of a fan, so sometimes I won't know if that's like I won't know if that's them or not unless they're with like the other two characters, and I'll just be like, oh, that's the core Legion team. Okay.
Yeah, like I know you're talking about because in Doomsday Clock, I believe it had Saturn Girl just in the jail cell, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah, and I didn't pick up on that
yeah,
at
yeah,
first.
yeah. Like,
I
oh,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah, okay. Where the hell she come from?
yeah, to be honest, I thought that universe was dead. I was like, look,
It
because
was that was the whole thing. Like they're supposed to get brought back and that, but they didn't acknowledge it until Brian Michael Bendis got on the project.
yeah, he was like, nope, they are fully alive.
Yeah. So with that being said, your mom and your grandfather being in comics, I gotta ask. So when you find out you was a nerd?
Oh man, I think I found out. So it's never a self declaration. It's always somebody telling you. So it's so I was of course like I would be in class and I'd be drawing when I should have been doing work, and when I got super into comics, it's still in elementary school. So um, and I was constantly drawing like, especially in like third and fourth grade, I was drawing superheroes like all the time, and I would notice like even during our class, other kids like weren't. They were just kind of drawing cars and stuff, and just like normal everyday stuff. That would just which is definitely challenging to draw, but it's like to me it wasn't exciting. So I would be trying to draw. I'd be trying to draw a superhero. I was super into trying to draw Batman and um, Incredible Hulk. I would try to draw Wolverine from the X-Men and stuff like that. And I was obsessed with like making my Wolverine look like uh, it's an old artist named John Cockrum, who I saw like a really old back issue, his version of X-Men, and I was trying to draw like that and I couldn't. Um, then of course Jim Lee's X-Men came out years later, and I was trying my best to draw like that, but every time uh, every time I was trying to depict this stuff, I'd be like kind of called a nerd or a geek, or it's like, oh, you're into like stupid stuff, and I'm just like, oh,
Oh man, heartbreaker.
yeah, yeah. It'll always be like a girl in class, like that you think is cute, and it's just like, oh,
Dang. The glass shattering moment.
yeah, yeah.
uh,
Just to make sure you get the idea, like, oh no, you're a nerd, you know.
um, so that's the end of that segment. Hopefully people got a good feel your backstory. Now we go to my next segment. It's called the hotkeys.
All right.
It's a double meaning term. In comics, hotkeys are key issues when a new artist, new writer, a new character, storyline get introduced. And nowadays, it could possibly be a movie based off those books now. So you want to grab those.
Yeah.
You want to highlight those for those movies and TV shows. As well in music, there are buttons on a turntable or keyboard that a producer or DJ would use to trigger sounds or songs and during an event to get everybody live and turned up.
Mm.
So this segment is for just that. Get everybody, highlight certain things about you and to get people, excited about what you do. So it's
All
questions
right.
that I wrote down beforehand and other questions that I formulated while we was talking earlier. So with that being said, what artist inspired you to start drawing or to draw or in your style, I guess.
It's a combination. So as I said, like my mom was super into comics and stuff, but she was also into different kind of books too. We'd always do like weird books. Um, and um, I remember it all the time, but this is like earliest memories, and I don't bring it up as much. But it was a old book called Paradise Lost, from Milton, and a lot of the artwork in there is like very old. I'm not even sure if it was really ink drawings. It might have been like printmaking back then, but I just distinctly remember all these incredible, extremely detailed images of like old biblical story, like Satan falling from heaven and stuff like that, and big images of hell and all that stuff. It was it I was a little kid, and I didn't even see anything like that in comics, but it put a huge impression on me. Like even to this day, like I would want to do a book that kind of touches on old like stories like that, and um, treat it with that level of detail and that level of quality of drawing and stuff like that. Because I don't think people get, like, when you're drawing comics, the style you're using is more or less, or at least it used to be, a shorthand way of drawing. Like you don't approach figures the same way you would in a figure drawing class or in a painting. You're trying to do it in um, an easy to read, simplified way, regardless of how much detail you might want to add. So um, it's that, and she had another book called The Stand from Stephen King, and she had this big edition that also had illustrations from a comic artist named Bernie Wrightson, um, who to this day is like a master to me. So that a lot of that stuff influenced how I draw now.
Okay, okay, okay. Um, talking about drawing. Um, how long has you been doing it? I guess. Yeah. How long you been doing? Like, you consider yourself a artist? I guess.
Yeah. So I didn't have an initial interest in it. I'm told. I started when I was 5, and it was just literally me just drawing things that I would try to, that I would see in comics sometimes. And so um, it was like my grandfather was actually the one that like really pushed me in that direction because he drew, and he wasn't like a professional artist or anything, but he drew as a hobby almost all the time, and so I would try to uh, sometimes try to emulate his style, because he had a very loose, sketchy style, and I never even seen him draw with like a pencil. It was always like a ballpoint pen. He was like super confident, and like um, and so I was that was a big influence in trying to get me to like really keep going. So
Okay. Um. Wow. I guess when did you get your first published work?
oh, um, first published work was for like this is course, I'm much older, and my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, it's finally convinced me that maybe you should pursue this comics thing as a career, and so I just started trying to show my portfolio to any independent publisher that accepted a portfolio directly through their website. And so there were two publishers. One was a publisher called St. James Comics, and they did this like weekly webcomic called Ex Occultus, and big horror fan. So I'm like, oh man, it looks cool, monsters. Um, and the second one was a company called Terminus Media. They're out of Atlanta, and I sent my portfolios to them. St. James picked me up for like a small like web thing, but for like a physically published book, it was Terminus Media. Actually, no, it would still be Terminus Media because they came out first. So um, it was Terminus Media, and they took a chance on me. And though I had no real experience drawing comics beforehand, they even paid me for it. It's crazy. It's like, and yeah, that was my first thing. That was my first thing.
That's dope. That's dope. Um, how was it transitioning from independent work to professional work?
Um, I think in a lot of ways it prepared me for it because if you're doing a lot of independent work, you're gonna run along with people who have done work for the bigger two sometimes, and they'll have stories and experiences that they'll sometimes talk about and you'll listen to and things like that. But um, I try to listen to those things to try to get myself to be more like professional in this particular thing, and uh, hopefully like avoid some mistakes and and things like that because it is drawing comics can be a difficult business. You're a freelancer basically, and you're the notion of being only as good as your last job is a real thing. So it's I was always just trying to pay attention to those kind of things, and so by the time I got like a Marvel gig, I was prepared for things like getting notes back on my artwork and um, uh, not being you know crazy high minded about getting edits and stuff on anything, even my thumbnails. It's fine. You know, it also just made me kind of care more about telling a good story because that's ultimately what most like indie publishers or indie creators or even Marvel or DC Comics, they care more about that because they want this is going to be like distributed to as many people as they can get it to, and they want them all to be able to read it and be able to understand it and hopefully enjoy it. So um, all of them, regardless whether they're independent or with the big two, care about that, like whether or not you can tell a story. So I think it kind of prepared me for Marvel and DC work. Still does, because you still have to work with a lot of different creators, and they have different ideas on how to get their story out, and yeah.
Um, I know recently you did Bishop War College, and
Hmm.
you introduced a great big cast of characters in there. So how how much leeway did it get you on the character designs? Like, was that just you just coming up with them, or they gave you a description of what to draw?
No, so they were super loose about how I redesigned or reinterpreted those characters. I was surprised, to be honest, because I thought I'd be getting like notes back because you're basically reinterpreting specifically racially, like a hot topic is as far as race. You're reinterpreting racially an extremely popular um, team and who people have a lot of personal history with. And in comics, if you reinterpret something in a way that an audience doesn't like, they'll rip your head off about it. It's and not to say that everybody loved Bishop War College, but I'm extremely thankful for all the people who did. And um, I think for my approach, I was really just trying to go for making sure that characters more or less still felt the way that they have historically been published as, and so even if I was gonna like drastically change the visual of a character, I was still like making sure it wasn't too crazy. I was particularly fixated on making sure it's kind of felt like '90s X-Men.
Okay.
Um, so that was my thing, and they were pretty much in agreement on that. Because my the first time I ever read a Bishop comic was during the '90s when he first appeared and he got introduced to the X-Men, and so I just wanted to make sure that feeling was still there.
Mhm. And that's one of my origin books as well. It was a book with a team up issue of Bishop and Gambit. I think I forgot what it's called. But that was like one of my key things to the X-Men too, was that book. And I thought it was so cool, like, Gambit and Bishop. As a
Yeah,
kid, I thought there was like some kind of blood brothers because their powers kind of looked the same. So I thought like,
yeah,
oh
yeah,
man,
kind of opposite. Not opposite, but yeah, they were very similar.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I thought that was pretty cool, and which transitioned to my own character, the View. It came from just them two,
yeah,
mainly Gambit, but Bishop too, I guess, being like black and with dreadlocks.
yeah.
But it
Or
is
what
all
he had. That was back in the day. He had the Jerry curl going. like
hit a Jerry curl back
I,
then.
well, it's like he's got like Aboriginal heritage, so his hair is like kind of
So I was doing the ponytail, the thick long ponytail. I never seen a Jerry curl.
This is like in the '90s. This is like when he was like
Trying to
first
kill,
created.
trying to kill old girl.
Oh, yeah, he did have a time when he was trying to kill a baby, didn't he? Yes. Wait.
No, that's more recent. That's Hope, I
Yeah,
think.
that was during the Hope Summers story, and I think for some of that he had shaved his hair.
No,
Um,
I think Baldhead Bishop is Ultimate Comics. I believe.
Maybe because I didn't read him too much in
Or it
the
could be
Ultimate Universe.
Or it could be Age of Apocalypse. That Bishop's different. I think he's more like
He was
jaded, a jaded one or something.
he's a I mean, he's a dude that's been trained to strengthen himself on his own trauma. So
I mean,
he's
so
gonna
so so is Cable, but Cable crack jokes every now and then.
yeah, yeah. But I mean that's because he's got Deadpool as a friend. Like you can't stay serious too long um, around Deadpool. Bishop doesn't have like a comedy um, character he can play off of and loosen up.
Well,
It's just
recently they gave him who they give him? And not it was I want to say Shadow Cat. Maybe Iceman. They gave him a character, the hold him over. I can't remember who it was, but
yeah.
I noticed that because like he's very stern
Hmm.
in his current run, and this slips my mind what character it is, but it brings him back every now and then, like by the stuff they say to him, and he just like snap him back to like, okay,
Yeah.
I can be chill.
He's a he's an intense dude.
Yeah. Um. Leeway. Marvel. So going then I switch gears to DC.
Hmm.
Um. Um. How was it working for Milestone? I know you were reading them, then now they are reemerging and you drawing for them. I see
Yeah.
that you did some covers, but then you did some single issues of some projects.
For DC, so I was first brought on. The first gig was done was to help out with issue 4 Blood Syndicate, and I was massively nervous because they had the original artist Chris Cross come back to draw those issues. And I remember reading that as a kid. I was like, man, I'm gonna look like garbage next to this dude. And I got through my set of pages for that issue, and then right after that, they asked me to do issue 5. Um, and Chris Cross was gonna finish the miniseries off at issue 6, and so I was like, I think I was still thumbnailing it, and then that's when the anxiety really kicked in, because now I'm like gonna carry that issue on my own, um, and I have to like try to keep up with like artists. I remember drawing this book when I was a kid. It's like you're an X-Men fan. You become a comic artist, and then they hire you to draw an X-Men book. And then they decide to bring back Jim Lee, and then you just have to draw next to Jim Lee, and then you have to draw a bit after, and so your work's just going to be compared to his, just what it is. But that's what was going on in my mind. But it worked out. People seem to enjoy it, and so I still love.
Speaking of that, now that's one of the books that I liked from the Milestone run was Blood Syndicate.
Yeah,
and
it's different.
Just looking you up and you talking now, I didn't really see a change in the artwork. I mean, I don't remember anything too crucial for me to be like, well, that's a new artist. So I mean, I guess you did a pretty good job. But I don't remember the artwork switching. I don't remember.
Yeah,
because your book would have been the highway fight, right?
Yeah, when they were on the exploded bridge, and they're going at it. Well, no, wait, it's not. It's because the real fight happened in issue 6, but I was like, it was like a lead up to it. Issue 5 was like a lead up to it, and they were telling a little bit more.
When she went back in time, she was like, "Go back."
What was that one? I think that was like a side story. That did happen, but it was like a side story, and I can't remember where it was published. I can't remember if it was Milestone 30th anniversary or what. But issue 5 was when they're on the bridge. Holocaust is literally implementing his plan to take over the city, and police can't do anything about it. And you get a little bit of his origin story of how he killed his former boss when he got his powers, and stuff like that. It's when Icon and Rocket come in to try to deal with it. And
they tell him to go back. Oh, come on, we got it.
Yeah, I mean, they were warning them, and Rocket and Icon got jobbed out to Holocaust, and which I loved Holocaust. I thought he's an incredible bad guy. He's completely insane, absolutely insane. But he's like the Magneto to me of the Milestone universe. He's like an extremist, and he might have pretty good reasons why he's that extreme, but it's like it's absolute madness. Like no one should draw those conclusions for making their people better and safer.
Yeah. You're on the Cyborg book as well. I haven't read it yet, but it intrigued me because I don't remember him having his own book, and I don't know if it's you doing artwork or them telling you what to draw, but you brought back his Teen Titans show, look versus the more grid type aesthetic he has.
Yeah. So I'm more into like when you're drawing these massively popular characters that have like 20, 30-year histories. Like I'm really big into trying to make them at least feel like what people are more used to and more familiar with. And so I was trying to push my style a little bit because I'm super into making something dark and gritty. I love it, but for that character, he's not a dark and gritty guy, and he's not even portrayed in that story as that.
Yeah,
so,
booyah.
Yeah, that's and when you say that, people immediately associate it with him. So it's like I'm trying to gear my style more towards what I think people or would resonate towards Cyborg more.
Okay. It definitely caught my eye, just like his look, because like I said, that New 52 look, or uh, I can't think of the one after that, but that look really didn't, hit with me. Like maybe in the video games it looked good and stuff like that, but the
Yeah.
robotic, didn't really take. That's probably why people like Doom Patrol version of him versus uh, Scott Snyder.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder's version of him.
Zack Snyder's version, which I love that too. It's just that would have been impossible to draw in a comic book, but it's just too many details, and I love details. But yeah, I'm surprised I got to do that book. I helped out with an issue of it. I think it was issue 4. And I had to draw so many robots. Like, oh my god! And I was trying to figure out ways that I could was like, maybe if I draw like one robot in the front super big, then I don't have to draw as many robots behind them when they're super small. I was just trying to figure out. Cause I was like, dude, this is old. Whenever it has like an army of robots, I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah. Speaking of robots, you drew the robots for Brian, right?
Yes. Recently, I helped out with his Air Force One's Kickstarter campaign. I did a pin-up image for
Okay.
2 of his mechs, and mechs are hard to draw. Like I love drawing organic stuff. I love drawing a lot of figure stuff and all that, but you know, I feel like I struggle to make mechs look cool. But he seemed super satisfied with the image, so I was like, man, like
Okay. Um, Going back to the Cyborg book. Once again, I didn't read it. You know more about the story than I do.
mm,
So in that book, was it centered like from the synopsis, kind of like a Black Lightning type of book? He's more grounded to like it's the hood, like.
I think they were trying to ground him to, I don't know, I think because I think the writer Morgan Hampton, it feels like he's trying to go in another direction rather than just having the same old cyborg just wrestling with his humanity while he's in this half cyborg body.
Mhm.
Um, and he seems more comfortable with himself in that series, and but that aspect of humanity versus technology is still being waged, but it's being waged within other characters. Like his father is still technically alive in a computer, and he's having to fight against completely technological cyborgs and stuff like that have no regard for humanity and all that stuff. So those aspects are still there, but it's just like it's kind of played out in the plot around him rather than just being some endless internal war within him that he's always feeling sorry for himself about. And, thank God he's not feeling sorry for himself anymore. Like, dude, your hand can turn into a cannon. You're amazing.
Yeah. I'm working for both of them. Um, have you do you have your eyes on not writing, drawing from a certain character yet? You like okay, I'm getting ready to draw this character. Oh my god, I've been wanting to draw this character for so long.
Oh, there are a lot of characters that still love to draw. Um, I think for DC, I'd love to do more Blood Syndicate stuff, but I also want to do I would love to do more Icon and Rocket stuff. I'd also love to do it's tapping into the Batman world again, but I'd love to draw like a Signal story. Um, and I absolutely love Val Zod. I think that's an amazing looking character, and definitely an interesting one. And
That won't be hard to draw with all his markings.
mhm. Like Balzard.
Oh wait, never mind. I was thinking of the guy who cuts himself every time he kills somebody. You talking about the Superman? You talking about
Oh,
Superman? Yeah. Okay.
yeah. You're thinking about Victor Zsasz,
Yeah.
crazy, psychotic Victor Zsasz. Okay. That'd be an interesting character to draw too. But I don't. I would probably ask them if I could change his look a bit. But yeah,
I think every time I see him, he gets changed. I
yeah,
don't
that's
think.
probably
Yeah.
because um, I don't think he's a massively popular villain. He's definitely not the most popular Batman villain. So, and I know everybody has their favorite Batman villain, and for some reason, most of the time it's the Joker. But he's not mine. But uh, just trying to think of who else I would love to draw. For Marvel, I would love to do more Deathlock stuff, but I would um, more X-Men stuff. But I always wanted to take a crack at Thor.
Oh.
That would be tremendous for me. So
Okay. Speaking of Thor, with his magic war world and stuff, um, I see you listed on the Wakanda. Did you draw that or you did the cover art?
so I did like a story for the Wakanda miniseries. I did like I think I did issue 3 that was centered on it was a Killmonger story that was more based on um his younger years, like when he was still working for Claw and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
And it was more about like just like a short part of his journey of how he became such a sociopath, but of not being able to have like good loving personal attachments and stuff like that. And um yeah, yeah, I did like one story for it some time ago with the writer Ho.J. Anderson. It was that was fun, but um I think I probably I had a little bit too much fun because I got super carried away and doing all of the rock climbing scenes and stuff like that. And I was looking at reference for every rock climbing movie ever, and it was it was absurd. Like I was literally trying to like recreate like a expensive action rock climbing movie that I probably would have seen in the '90s. Just drawing that series, just drawing that book. I'm sorry.
That's cool. Um, so you just said you were looking at rock climbing video movies for references. So
Hmm.
like drawing wise, like since you are a professional artist and you gotta push out projects pretty fast, uh, in your brain, do you have like a whole bunch of references like stuck up there, or you literally have to find them for what you're drawing?
Oh no, like if I have a idea already in mind for a direction I want to go, nah, you don't need a huge amount of reference. Like I'll look at references if all my like rough thumbnail sketches or preliminary sketches just aren't working. Then I'll just start thinking about like, okay, maybe I need to look at a reference. And most of the time, um, I'll find a reference that has absolutely nothing to do with the subject I need to draw for that panel or that page. And for some reason, like an angle about it or the way a figure is posed in a particular way, I'm like, I could use that, And 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 it takes like it always feels like I'm wasting time. It always feels like I'm like looking for a particular thing. I know I'm probably not gonna find it, and usually I wind up like striking gold in something that has absolutely nothing to do with what I was looking for. So
Okay,
happens.
okay. I think that's all I got for that segment. Let's go to my last segment. It's called Digging in the Crates, which is
All right.
delving in turn. Comic books. You'll go to them long boxes and dig around for the Legion superheroes book or
Yeah.
the Spirit book and whatnot. Or you for music, you go back and try to find out old Jimi Hendrix and albums and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna comb through this interview and pull out some question, or like a question or two about it, so that people can leave off with something. When we end it, so your mom and your grandfather just had diverse books they read and whatnot, and you seen the artwork and stuff and became an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you read these books and whatnot. So you ever dibble dab in like writing opposed to art?
So before I had a career in comics, or before I was even thinking about seriously having one, I would try to write stories and stuff like that. And sometimes they'll be good. Most times they'll suck. But I feel a strong itch to do my own book in the near future, so I'll have to like try to pick up the writing pen and see if I can produce a half decent story that can turn into decent artwork. So that'll be happening pretty soon. So I hope that it turns out well. I'm gonna be like vetting a lot of my writer friends to like tell me like, hey, is this garbage? So
Okay. If you had a time machine to go back in an era of comics, what era would you stop in to start drawing your books in?
I think I would. And that's a hard one because it'll either be between like the '90s or maybe the '70s. And it's not so much the time period. It's just that there are particular artists that I would like want to sit in front of and see how they work. Like this is an older artist named used to work for Marvel, used to do Black Panther and all that, and even Luke Cage. His name's Billy Graham. Doesn't get talked about enough. And I thought his work was always incredible, always tremendous, and uh, I would have loved to be able to sit in a room and see how he tackles his pages and stuff like that. And even when he was like inking other people's work, just to see how he approaches that and stuff like that. But for the '90s, I and don't get me wrong, this is not because I know people have a certain amount of like heat towards '90s artists, but I would have loved to see the working relationship between Jim Lee and Chris Claremont on the first couple issues of X-Men. Just to see how they did, because I remember issue 1, and I remember being like the artwork being incredible, but I also remember a lot of heavy text, and so and usually I think nowadays it seems like sort of a bad thing to do, to have a lot of heavy text, because then you're kind of worried about if it's going to cover up all this, good artwork or whatever. But back then, and I even re-downloaded that issue on my iPad just to look at it again. But I can't, it feels like a good balance, and I don't know if we look at the way we look at those things now. I don't think we think that can happen anymore. But I've read it a couple times since I re-downloaded it, and I'm just like, it's still, maybe it's just because I'm looking at it in rose-colored glasses or whatever, but it's still awesome to me.
You think they was drawing? As an artist, you can answer this question. You think he was drawing with the word bubbles in mind? Like, okay, I'm drawing this, and I know the word bubbles right here, so I'm gonna draw around it so it fit perfectly right here.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he was drawing anything he wanted to, because I think at that point he was like hotshot Jim Lee, superstar artist for X-Men now. So I think he was literally just drawing whatever he wanted. And I think Chris Claremont was literally
Writing whatever you
Um,
wanted.
yeah, I think he was like just like because he was super popular too at the time. I think he was considered like one of the best X-Men writers at the time. So I think he too was in a place is like, I'm gonna write the story way I want to write it. Um, and somehow that meshed well, especially on that first issue. Because there are a lot of pages in there that are like text heavy, and also there are a lot of panels. Like most people remember that book. They remember all these giant, sprawling Jim Lee '90s aesthetic action scenes and stuff like that. But the next page be huge amount of text, a lot of panels, all that. So,
Okay. All right. You got any advice for up and coming artists?
um, if if I would give any advice, I would say, I think it'd be just three things. One, treat it seriously if you want to do it. It's not the easiest thing to do in the world, so make sure you love it when you do it, because that shows up in your work. Um, and for two, um, don't be too obsessed with just trying to get hired by Marvel or DC or any other publisher right away. Um, Try to do your own thing first and develop a narrative and storytelling language first, because it won't be your art style people necessarily hire you for. It's your narrative style, and that's a nuanced thing that doesn't get talked about enough. Um, and three, be nice, be gracious, and be kind, because like it's a difficult business, and there are plenty of great artists and writers who don't get nearly as much opportunity or as much appreciation as they should. So, you know, it, that keep that in mind as you move forward, and be super appreciative about every chance you get. So,
Okay, that's dope, man. You got anything upcoming people should look out for?
um, I don't know how much I can talk about, but it's like I'm doing a thing with Stranger Comics.
Okay.
Um, so hopefully that'll get announced really, really soon, and I can talk more about it. But I've already finished my portion of it. I think I still have to do a cover for it though soon, so I gotta get cracking on that. But
All
yeah.
right. Cool, cool, cool. And if people want to follow you, keep up with you and your artwork, what can I do that at?
Oh, just well, and this is important, kids. Remember branding. So if you get a website, put your artwork on there, put your writing on there. But just look up Sean Damian Hill, and you'll find my Instagram, my Twitter, Facebook, um, and my website. Most importantly, my website. So, yeah.
All right. And once again, thanks for coming on, man. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right.
Um.